Sorry about the technical difficulties. All right, so today we are talking about the relationship between the food you eat and the mood you are in. So very interesting relationship. We've got Miss Maggie Stutz, counselor from Counseling Services, who is going to tell us all about it. And hopefully my voice is not going to be talking when I through this. All right, we'll turn it over to you. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. This feels very formal, but it's very casual. We're just going to have a conversation today. And okay, I'm not always the most technologically, savvy as well. That's why I emailed it to you and said, if you can get it set up for me, that would be great. We are going to talk about food and mood today, and eating and the way that we feel mentally and emotionally are things that we can't avoid. We have to eat every day to sustain ourselves, and we are often impacted in different ways throughout the day. We might wake up and feel really great and then get caught in traffic on the way to work, and so our mood might change. So we are going to talk about food and mood, how the things that we eat and put in our body can impact the way that we feel. And I'm hoping to give you guys a little bit of a crash course on how the brain works with food and our mood, ways that you can add some things in, or potentially make some changes to diet if interested today, and then applicable ways to do that. So as Jackie said, my name is Maggie Stutz. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm with Student Counseling Services, and I'm the senior mental health counselor there. A little bit of background about me. I am a two-time graduate of UNA. I got my undergrad here. Thank you. And stuck around and got my master's in community counseling. And I have now been in the field for 10 years, which is kind of hard to believe. But a little bit about where I've worked. I've worked at Safe Place with children who experienced domestic violence situations and they were living in shelter. And then I went from there to Bradford Health Services. I was an adult inpatient counselor for men and women struggling with substance dependency. They would come there, detox, get a sobriety plan, and then step down to intensive outpatient. I then went to Riverbend Center for Mental Health, where I was an in-school therapist for a little bit, and then transitioned to the juvenile court system, working with kids who had some hiccups, and whether it be truancy or theft, violence, those kinds of things. And then came to student counseling in 2016, and I've been here ever since. And I really love this college population a lot. They're super fun. It's an age where you get to be a part of someone's rapid growth and development. So I love working with students. My clinical areas of focus: anxiety, depression, self-esteem. I have worked closely with students who have disordered eating and diagnosable eating disorders. I'd still treat substance abuse at the level at which we can here at an outpatient setting. And I do cover relational issues because our students have those too. So all of this, actually, it might sound a bit all over the place, but really the amount of times that I talk about food and mood in any place that I have been is a very consistent thing. At Safe Place, I had children who experience food insecurity. And so talking about what nutrition is and how we fuel our bodies. At Bradford, I would have co-occurring disorders, someone who was trying to get sober from substance use, but also might also struggle with disordered eating or eating disorders. And we see a lot of co-occurring disorders here on campus, and students are coming to college away from home for the first time. They're figuring out what to put in their body, and hopefully it's not Panda Express 5 days a week. But a lot of times they eat where they have a meal swipe, and that's the reality of it. So before we kind of dive into what we might eat to help us feel better and what we might abstain from, I think it's important to understand the brain-body connection. And biologically, we are designed to seek pleasurable experiences, and we are aversive to painful or uncomfortable things. So pleasure is central to learning. If we didn't feel good about what we were doing, then we might not repeat it. And that's really important when it comes to eating. We have to have something that drives us to put fuel in our body. And so dopamine is the chemical that gets released in the brain when we do something that's really fun. I've listed a few things here as some examples, the pandemic increased my desire to shop online, that add to cart, and then opening the door to see that package 2 days later was a pleasurable experience. And exercise can be that likes on social media. Why do we post? Well, we get that engagement and it makes us feel good when somebody likes or hearts or comments. But eating is central to when that dopamine releases and we get that feel good in our body. And it's really needed. We have to have it. So part of that brain body connection and the forebrain pleasure circuit, it's referenced in the book, The Compass of Pleasure. If you've never read it, it's really good. It talks about the things that we crave and desire. That is our prefrontal cortex, where a lot of our emotional regulation, impulse control, decision making comes from, but it's fueled by that desire to experience good things. So what does it look like to have a pleasurable experience set in motion? It starts with liking the event or the encounter, or not liking the event. I remember the first time I ate black licorice and it was terrible. So I didn't want to seek that out again, but I did remember an experience of having chocolate cake as a child and really liking that. So we have to be drawn in by something that feels good, and then we associate our sensory cues with that. What's going on around us? What are we feeling in our bodies when it happens? What can we see? What can we touch? What can we smell? Those kinds of things. And then we assign value to what we have experienced. So if I like chocolate cake, I might go to greater lengths to get it the next time than I would something that I don't enjoy. And as far as addiction is concerned, and I've taught Dr. Renfro's class on drugs and society, so I really am passionate about that, and that's a whole presentation for another day. But we do become habit forming around certain things that can lead to addiction. So I will disclose that I'm dependent on coffee. And Dr. Renfro is taking that another sip. I love the encounter that I have when I brew it in the morning and I have the sights and sounds and smells of like the pot making the gurgling sound, and then picking my favorite mug. Like, it's an experience. And so I would say that I would go to great lengths to get coffee every single day. The best example I can give you is the movies. Think about the pleasurable experience that we get. So movies are fun, they're social, it's an event that we go to be entertained. And the moment that you hit the door, you're hearing the popcorn popping, you see the candy in the glass display. You might be hearing the fizz of the fountain drink that is coming out of the machine. And it's like dopamine on steroids, because you're going to go sit in a theater, be entertained, and be fueling your body with all the things that taste good during that time. And I will tell you that I have chosen not to get popcorn and candy in a movie before, in the interest of protecting my wallet and the cost of it. And it was not fun. I wanted to have that experience that goes along with the movie. And looking at the person next to me who was enjoying that popcorn and candy, I thought, I don't know if this is worth skipping. So I went to the Dollar Tree the next time and I packed my bag with like dollar candy because I really wanted to have that experience when I went in there. So the question is, does food actually affect mood? And there's no scientific evidence that food can cause a diagnosable mental health disorder, in the sense of what you put in your body actually contributes to like an anxiety disorder or depressive disorder. Of course, there are eating and feeding disorders, and those are a little bit different. But we know that food definitely impacts the way that you feel mentally, emotionally, and physically. It does have an impact. So what are some things that you can do every day to impact how food makes you feel? Number one, eat regularly. That is something that I would encourage everyone to do. And I do have a disclaimer here at the bottom that I'm not a registered dietitian. And so I don't have a degree in nutrition. If you have specific concerns about your diet or your health, consult your physician. But eating regularly helps stabilize blood sugar. It decreases irritability. And it maintains your energy level. We have faculty and staff in the room. When I'm talking to students, I tell them, if you have class from 8 to 12 and you haven't packed something in your bag, your blood sugar is going to tank. You are not going to be able to focus as well. And I don't like to go that long without food. I'm the queen of having snacks on me at any given time because I would like to be able to have the option to eat something if I'm feeling jittery or hungry. Eating the right kinds of fats. Of course, we can get fats lots of different ways, like a cheeseburger in the drive-thru, and there's nothing wrong with a cheeseburger in the drive-thru, but sometimes we're left feeling sluggish or having those fried foods. So if you're looking to get the right kinds of fats, fish, chicken, certain kinds of nuts, cheese, eggs, you can very easily throw some hard-boiled eggs in a Ziploc bag and like a stick of cheese, and that would be a great snack that is full of protein and has the right kinds of fats involved with it. So increasing your protein has amino acids in it that work with the chemicals in your brain for regulating your thoughts and feelings, and it releases that energy a lot more slowly. So if I ate a bowl of noodles for lunch, I might feel really warm and cozy after and want to take a nap because the carbs will then turn into sugar and the crash will happen. And I might not be very effective at what I do the rest of the day. But if I add some protein and to complement that, it releases that energy more slowly. It gives me more clarity. It doesn't make me want to snooze the afternoon away. Drink water. I carry around this 40-ounce drink with me everywhere I go. I really believe that if you stay hydrated, it helps your clarity so much better. It may not solve all your problems, but if you are not chronically thirsty, it is helpful. It decreases headaches. It increases your clarity to be able to do things. And again, it maintains that energy level. If you had a cup of coffee in the morning and nothing else, your body's going to feel very, very, very dry, like it's craving something else. Eat the rainbow. Anytime that you have the chance to add color to your plate, it's a great opportunity to get helpful nutrition that has vitamins and minerals that's going to make your body feel really good. A great snack would be apples with some nut butter, whether it's almond butter, peanut butter. I sometimes like to do carrots and ranch, but I do the healthy ranch. And if you take a single serve of non-fat plain Greek yogurt and you add a ranch packet to it, it's 0 fat and you still get the ranch flavor with the carrot, and the yogurt's really helpful for your gut health, and it has that extra protein in it as well. And then at your own risk, decrease your caffeine intake. Like I said, I love my cup of coffee. I really feel sustained off of that, even if it's kind of like my emotional security blanket for the day. But if you notice that caffeine tends to increase your anxiety, it is a stimulant. So if you're drinking a cup in the morning, a cup in the afternoon, and you're thinking, I might want to decrease a little bit, it might help with that feeling of being jittery. It prevents the inevitable crash, and there's natural alternatives to caffeine. If you eat a protein-packed snack that has that natural source of energy in it, then it's going to sustain that energy a bit longer. And that's just something that might be helpful if you feel like it's impacting your mental health. So how do we actually put this into motion if you want to use food to your advantage, or maybe take a look at the things that you're putting in your body? a little bit of progress each day adds up to the big results. And so if you're like me, oftentimes I can get into an all or nothing thought process. I'm going to start working out today, so I can't, go run 5 miles. I might want to, but that would not be helpful for me and might make me feel a little defeated. So make a plan. What are your goals? Is your goal to increase your water intake? It's a very sustainable, achievable goal. Is it to lose weight? Is it to feel better in your own skin, regardless of what the scale says? What would you like to accomplish? And is there an end result? If you had a goal to maybe lose a few pounds, how long do you think it would take to do that? Maybe consulting with a doctor or a dietitian. Be realistic. What's achievable in your current season of life? There are often times that we might have lofty goals and things that we want to do to accomplish a specific thing, but is it feasible in all that I have going on? Am I working a lot right now? Like, is in the wintertime when it's dark outside, I don't like to go many places after I get home, but like with the daylight extending, do I have the opportunity to walk more after I get home from work? Are you setting yourself up for failure? If you've ever sworn off something, like I'm not going to drink coffee anymore, I'm going to cut out sodas, like I'm not going to have a Coke a day anymore. That might be difficult to do since your body is used to it. So maybe look at decreasing versus eliminating, because maybe the goal is there an end result to not drink 3 sodas a day anymore. Okay, so knock it down to 2 for a couple of weeks, and then knock it down to 1 for a couple of weeks, and then maybe every other day, because you're working on progress, not this idea of I just have to get here. And then what are ways that you can challenge yourself? So again, it could start with, I just want to make sure that I have a vegetable on my plate every meal. Instead of the fries in the drive-through, let me get the baked beans or the coleslaw or a side of fruit. You don't have to totally swear off drive-through burgers and fries, because we all enjoy that from time to time. But there's small ways that you can start to challenge yourself. And then mindfulness and awareness really is where you start. Just asking yourself, is there anything that I would like to change? What would I like to see differently? Do I want to get a protein in my meal every time that I sit down to eat something? And then speak kindly to yourself. I have a goal to drink a couple of these every day. I don't always get there because I'm busy or I'm in session all day or have a lot going on, but the goal is still to just be mindful of putting water into my body. So if you set a goal and you miss out on a day or 2 days, it's okay. This is about, again, progress, not perfection. And then any meal is a chance to make a healthy choice. So you may have heard or said to yourself before, well, I already had this for breakfast and I said I wasn't going to, so I'll start again tomorrow. You can start at your snack. If you have big, like fluffy pancakes and carb load for breakfast and topped with whipped cream and all the yummy things that you might want to get at Cracker Barrel, there is no shame in eating something that you really want to eat. But if you're thinking, how can I give myself more energy throughout the day? What kind of protein can I get for my next snack? What kind of protein or vegetable can I get in my next meal? It is always a chance to kind of do the next best thing for yourself. And so that kind of leads into my next slide of what's the next best thing I can do for my body today. That's a conversation I have with my clients often. Is you've had a stressful morning, you've had a stressful week, you have tests coming up, you have family situations that are difficult right now, you have roommate conflict going on, you have all these different things. So what's the next best thing I can do for my body today? And that can be at 8 a.m., that can be right before you go to bed. Being able to ask yourself that question invites you to kind of collaborate with yourself of, I really should do something good for me. Whether that is eat the thing that I know is really going to fuel my body versus reaching for the ice cream at the end of the day. And sometimes life calls for ice cream too. And that's okay. So any questions or comments about anything that we discussed today?
I love your last slide.
Oh, what's the next thing I can do for myself today?
Yeah.
Mhm. It gives a lot of freedom, whether that is food related or mood related. You sat at your desk all day and you're feeling angsty, like you want to move. I chose to walk over here. I was worried, am I going to get there in time? But I thought I'm going to walk because the sun is shining. I've been sitting all morning. Like that was the next best thing I could do for myself. And so that just puts you in that mindset of practicing that self-care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what has happened. If it's 10 o'clock at night and you're getting ready to go to bed. There's still a moment you can still do something good for yourself by meditating for 2 minutes or listening to your favorite song before you go to bed or whatever. There's still time to do something that's positive.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind of day you have. I love it.
Yeah.
I talk to my students a lot about their devices. And I don't shame them and I don't shame myself when I find that I'm over connected. It is 2023 and we cannot really function without a smart device anymore, just because the world has adapted to that. But what can I do for myself at the end of the day? Put the phone up, get the screen time. If you've had enough screen time, choose to pull out a book and read for pleasure. You read enough for your courses or do a moment of meditation or turn your sound machine on and just breathe. It doesn't matter how late in the day it is.
Yeah, and that really helps to combat that all or nothing thinking, well, I blew it already today, so let's sail on out. There's nothing else I can do. But you can always do something.
Yes.
For everybody, and it just kind of keeps you at a good pace.
Yes.
And a reminder that my favorite quote, wellness is a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just get there and arrive. Oh, I reached wellness.
And if you feel stuck in that journey, it's important to remember that there are other people who are trained to be able to help you do the things that you may not know how to do yourself. So if you find that you are wanting to change some things in your diet, it's not about only eating your fruits and veggies and then you're going to feel better. Everybody's body is different and requires different things. And so how do we navigate what is best for one person versus someone else? And it could just be as simple as further education. I saw you nodding when I was talking about the yogurt and like the ranch, and it was something that someone passed on to me. And sometimes it's just about a lack of knowledge of where do I start and how do I read nutrition labels? And if I'm craving something sweet, it doesn't mean that that is a bad thing, but maybe I reach for some strawberries and like some Cool Whip at the end of the day versus like just eating mindlessly out of the carton of ice cream, because we're designed to crave, like we said earlier, we're designed to crave certain things, and the craving isn't the enemy. It's what is my body telling me that I need right now? And so if I want something sweet, how can I honor that in a way that's healthy for me? And sometimes it is the ice cream, it's about having that balance, but using some of these tips and tricks to really fuel you during the day when you need that sustained energy, that can be really helpful. And if you don't know where to start, it's okay to ask someone.
Maggie, through your studies and experiences, have you found that when you're talking about cravings, so that made me think, have you found that there's sometimes when we're craving something, there's this emotional connection, and there may be certain emotions going on causing you to crave certain things?
Yes.
Can you speak on that?
I believe we've sort of been conditioned in our society to sometimes eat our feelings. So more stereotypically for women, like, oh, if you have a bad breakup, then go buy that wine or go buy that ice cream and, you deserve it. So you should really eat or consume that. Or, when you're feeling really stressed out, like reaching for the thing that is more of the comfort food absolutely can be the thing that drives what we eat. But there's a phrase that you may have heard of before. It's an acronym. It's called HALT, and it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And so I will tell that to my students or even ask myself, hang on, let me stop for a second. When was the last time I had something to eat? Am I irritable because I'm hungry? Or am I irritable because something is carrying over from the day before that was really stressful and I don't have the capacity to really kind of focus on that right now, but it's lingering back here. And so it's consuming a lot of my headspace. Am I lacking connection? You know, have I been kind of like isolated in my own space or in my own world and not reaching out to friends or family and my support system? Or do I need a nap? Or a good night's sleep? You know, am I tired? Am I saying yes to too many things? Am I overwhelmed? So if you kind of do that emotional inventory, if you realize maybe this isn't necessarily food related, it's how I'm coping, but what's really kind of going on in the background, or it may not be something very obvious. So doing that inventory may allow yourself to reflect and say, I really have not slept well the last few nights. Maybe I need to make that a priority, or maybe I haven't done something fun. I've been so focused on X, Y, or Z that I need to get connected to my people. So that's a good question.
Okay.
I was gonna throw something out there, Jackie, just because I heard it recently on the radio and it was too late for me, but a game changer, you know, for what I thought about, because my girls are all grown and thankfully they're doing fine. But I heard on the radio this parents talking about cell phones, and they recommended, you were talking about screen time. And I had taught some things about afternoon slump and sleeping well. And one of the things you want to do is cut out your screen time at least an hour before you go to bed so that your
Yes.
brain's not stimulated. But I heard these parents say that one of the things you can do to protect your children from what happens on their phones is that they don't take their phones to their bedrooms. Well, see, my daughters all had their phones when they were, you know, teenagers in college, and always just had their phones.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything about it. And now, knowing what I know, if I had children again, they would not take their phones to their bedrooms. They would, at 9 o'clock or whenever they head to bed, their phone stays with me until the next morning.
Yeah.
And I'm just sharing that because I thought it was great advice. And thankfully, you know, my daughters are too old for me to run that rule, but they live with me.
It's a great point for sure. Being a parent of your children who I would assume are around end of millennial, beginning of Gen Z, they might all be kind of in that Gen Z,
Yeah, about
depending.
24 to 30.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
my girls
yeah.
are.
So
Yeah.
kind of split there, but as a parent, you didn't have a rule book or a guide of, I mean, technology was booming in real time. And it's very easy to think, well, maybe I could have or should have done something differently, but we know more now about technology than we did as it was coming of age with them. And so being able to put it up, or I know some families, and even friend groups, a rule that we've established in my household is that no phones at dinner.
Yeah, we don't do that. We never have done that.
And it's just an important boundary that we set with ourselves to be able to say, I'm going to give you like real FaceTime and not be looking at your forehead or you be looking at my forehead because we're looking down at our devices. So, you know, that is a way that technology does impact our mood for sure. And being able to set those boundaries with yourself or others, because we know that it does have a big play in how we all feel.
Yeah, and especially young people, you know, the highlight reel, as they call it, what they see other kids doing and what they think their life looks like compared to theirs is just a lot of that exposure could be late at night. And
Absolutely.
along
They're
with
not
veterans,
sleeping.
right?
And my students tell me often, you know, I feel I'm behind or I feel that I'm not where I should be. And I said, well, who determines that? And it's, well, I see so-and-so and the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's green where you water it. So how do we get back to focusing on where your feet are and what you're doing? Because you can't really tell what's going on over there because there's a filter on it. So
Very good.
Any other questions? All right. Okay, well, we really enjoyed that so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come and speak to us. And I like that acronym that you mentioned, HALT. Okay, so we'll need to